Padantikam. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Din Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastite. Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishbhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priyai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Tamam Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shrivarti Pashtate Deshatarine. Okay, we start with the verse 2 today. You both don't want to turn your cameras on. And then we'll go offline when I'll show the Hare Krishna and I'll show the Subodhani version. So verse 2. So director of instruction are the instructions that Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is giving us. There are 11 instructions, but he heard these instructions from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was in ecstasy at the ocean of Jagannath of Puri. Okay, so I'll just go over the overview. Nectar of instruction. This is Rupa Goswami Prabhupada Samadhi. Have you been there in Vrindavan? In Radha Damodar temple?
I haven't, Mataji.
No, Mataji.
Okay.
Not yet.
Huh?
Not yet, Mataji.
Okay, it's changed a lot now. But so Updesh Amrita, I took it from the handbook. There are 3 topics discussed: Videhi Sadhana Bhakti, Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti, and Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. So first 7 verses is Videhi Sadhana Bhakti or Sadhana Bhakti with the regulations. Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti is spontaneous devotional service in following the mood of a devotee. And 9 to 11 is Bhava Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. Videhi Sadhana Bhakti from verse 1 to 7. This is all from your handbook and I hope you're reading it. Hare Krishna and Mataji. Preface: the goal of Krishna consciousness and the means of attaining it. To reach perfection in Krishna consciousness, one must follow the instructions of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan by controlling the mind and senses as instructed by Rupa Goswami. So text number 1 is controlling the 6 urges that we read. This verse elaborates on the prerequisite for spiritual life as described in the 3rd main point. Of the preface, the necessity of controlling the mind and senses. A person who has mastered this prerequisite is fit to become a guru. Text 2 or the instruction 2 is obstacles to devotional service. It's 6. Okay. This particular text describes the consequences of not following the mind and senses. By his own choice, the conditioned soul has fallen under the jurisdiction of the material energy of the Lord. Under its influence, he has to meet the demands of body, which is a product of this energy. So text 2 further explains how to meet these basic demands in a way that fosters spiritual progress rather than material entanglement. Okay, so it's not just like what not to do, but also if we are not doing that, then what we are getting is we are not getting materially entangled. And this is a verse, and let me know if you want to recite the verse or if you know the verse. I think you're supposed to know this verse. Rupa Mataji, you want to recite it?
Yes, Mataji. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati.
Yeah, very nice. Atyahara. Anyone else? We're supposed to memorize this verse.
May I also try, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mataji. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
And Mataji, you wanted to do as well?
Yes. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Nikhil Prabhu, would you like to do it?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, do.
Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha lalyam cha sadbir bhaktir vinashyati.
Very nice. Thank you. So once I didn't recite. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyam agraha janasangascha lolyam cha shadbir bhaktir vinashyati. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, being greedy for mundane achievements. So living in the material world, Krishna talks about 3 primary energies, right? Prabhupada talks about 3 primary energies in the purport: Antaranga Shakti, Tatastha Shakti, and Bahiranga Shakti. Antaranga Shakti is the internal potency, Yogamaya. Tatastha Shakti is marginal, and Bahiranga Shakti is external, Mahamaya. Antaranga Shakti, the person who is situated in the Antaranga Shakti is called a Mahatma, and they're very broad-minded, and they're busy in satisfying Krishna and honest in their endeavors. Now, person who is in the external potency of the Lord, situated in the external potency of the Lord, is Duratma, narrow-minded, trying to enjoy separately or extended, or extended, and is duplicious. Duplicious in the sense that Hare Krishna, sorry, that they are situated in duality. Prabhupada gives example of a person who is obviously doing personal sense gratification is obviously not a very good place to be in life. But then we say that so-called materially very accomplished people, like who are very materially very helpful or very available for the service in the names of altruism, socialism, nationalism. Prabhupada explains that that also comes under external potency or Bahiranga Shakti, and it has no spiritual benefit whatsoever. So basically, that the goal of human life, we were given human life by the arrangement of the Supreme Lord under the by the material nature to become Krishna conscious. So the whole goal is spoiled. So don't become too attractive. So you see, if we follow the Shastras, we know where to put our attention. We know where to put our effort. We know where to put our everything. I'll give you the slides. You don't have to become insecure about it. You have to remind me. Okay, Duratma and Akhil Prabhu will remind me. Okay. Under its influence, we have to meet the demands of the body, because in the conditioned world, we have put ourselves in a situation where we need to meet the demands. And how do we meet the demands of the body? By work. So nature of material energy. I think I told this train story before, where Prabhupada had brought his Western disciples to India for the first time, and they were traveling by Indian Railways. I think I told this story, right? And then one of the stops, oh, Hare Krishna, the train was overpacked. And in one of the stops, a farmer with his family got on the train. And one of Prabhupada, so Prabhupada was sitting on one side with all his disciples, and then other disciples were on the other side. One of the disciples got very kind-hearted, and he just squeezed in to let the farmer sit. So when the farmer sat, he requested them to squeeze a little more in so his wife can sit. And then the wife asked them to squeeze a little more in so her children can sit. So like that, from the other end, the window side, the devotee was sitting had to get up. Then one had to get up, two had to get up, three had to get up. So like that, all of them had to get up to accommodate the farmer's family. So Prabhupada made a joke that this is how Maya works. You just give a little bit in and let it come. And then it'll say little bit more in, let it come. And then there you go. The bhakti goes out of the window, and this whole life has become filled with sense gratification. So this is the nature of the material energy, to put us constantly into that situation. And it subjects us to threefold miseries: Adi Devik, Adhyatmik, and Adipautik. Right? We know this. So Krishna says that this is a very difficult place to be in. He says it, okay? I'm not saying it. Devihi esha gunamayi mama maya durataya mam eva ye papadyanti mayam etam tarantite. So Devihi esha gunamayi mama maya durataya. Durataya means very difficult. What is difficult? Mama maya, my maya. Why? Because it is endued with divine potency. Devihi esha. So divine potency is endued in this Krishna's maya. But mam eva ye prapadyante. But if somebody surrenders unto me, mayam etam tarantite, then he can easily cross over it, cross over the ocean of science. Okay, so this divine energy of mind consists of three modes, consisting of three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So three modes. So Krishna is saying himself that it is difficult. And Prabhupada gives example of a person who may be a very good swimmer but has fallen into the ocean and is swimming in the ocean all by itself. No matter how good a swimmer one person may be, but once one has fallen in the ocean, then they're going to tire out, and the good skill of swimming is not enough to survive that tide. Okay, so Krishna is saying it. Always remember, I'm not saying it, so it has the weightage. So coming to the 6 impediments of the bhakti which are described by Rupa Goswami Prabhupada in this verse, Vinashyati means it's vanquished, is annihilated, destroyed, spoiled, or lost, or puts one wilderness of material energy, a material world, no hopes to enter into the spiritual life. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says only for sincere and really wanting to attain this goal. This verse is only for sincere devotees and who really want to make it. Otherwise, this is how the path is. There's so much. Will you walk on a path which is filled with lions, thinking that I am very strong and I have a great running ability, or I have great gun in my hand, or what? Will you still walk on a path like that?
No, Mataji.
So this is much like the material world we are in. So atyahar, overeating and over collecting. So ahar means eating, grabbing, collecting, and ati means too much. I think we know this. Now, Prabhupada writes overeating and or over collecting. There is a commentary by Bhaktivinoda Thakur on text 2 and 3. It's called Bhaktya Loka. The book is called Bhaktya Loka. In that commentary, Bhaktivinoda Thakur comments that if you read the first verse, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Udarupasta Vegam. Right? So Vacho Vegam is like urge to speak, Manasa urge of the mind, Krodha urge of the anger, Udarupasta, Udar is the urge of the tummy. So tongue and tummy over there, it has already been reported that tongue wants to vibrate and taste very palatable dishes, and stomach wants to be filled with the food always. So these are the urges of the tongue and the stomach. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur Prabhupada says that here Atya Ahar would not mean overeating, because it kind of minimizes what Rupa Goswami said in the verse prior. Okay, so because he's already talked about eating process. So what does it really mean? It really means like over collecting and over endeavoring. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about that. So let's see what Prabhupada is writing. But Prabhupada is giving, if somebody has not, and Prabhupada gives a commentary, and this is my personal thought, and you can reject and accept, is that because repetition, for Prabhupada, repetition is important for us to grab what is going on. But in a sense, if you read the commentary, it has really what it means is just over grabbing or over collecting, which includes not only the objects of sense gratification, but also too much speculative knowledge or material knowledge. Okay, so that also is included in Atyahar. So our needs are different. The spirit of enjoyment versus Lord's mercy, right? So what is Mahatma Gandhi said, that there is enough for everyone's need, but not for man's greed. So, so Prabhupada writes that Ishavasya principle, why there is a fight between capitalists and communists, because they're not understanding this Ishavasya principle, where Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatam jagat tena taktena bhunjita ma krido. What is the last line? So what it really means is the one needs to understand what belongs to what and take their own quota and not take another person's quota. So Ishavasya principle needs to be understood. And it shows our lack of faith in Krishna. And Prabhupada gives this example that if you put a bag full of grains or rice in the street, the birds by natural arrangement will take only enough, but a human being will not only try to gulp it down and store it in their stomach, but will also put it in the storage. Or in the case of like over endeavoring, that we are used to making financial arrangements. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that every statement or every instructions applies to two category of people: one who is in the grahastha and one who is in the brahmacharya or sannyas ashram. So person who is in the grahastha has different set of rules. Person who is in brahmachari or sannyas ashram has different set of the rules for the same instruction. Okay, so because if you read Prabhupada's lecture, was hearing this lecture, I think it's 6th canto, 1st chapter, verse 31. Very nice lecture. Prabhupada was giving lecture and explaining that Chanakya Pandit explains how to be happy in this world. And he was saying, Chanakya Pandit says that, now I don't remember exactly, we can pull up the lecture after the class if you want me to, remind me though, that one needs to have enough food grains, enough like milk produce, enough time to cultivate Krishna consciousness, something like that. So over there he was explaining, and one need not travel 50 miles or 100 miles away from home to get some food grains. The food grains should be grown in the house. Like that. So this is a principle for the grahasthas. And then he says it will be a solution to all economic problems. I think in this purport also he is explaining that the solution to all economic problem will be agriculture and cow protection. That solves all the economic problem. And he says that in that lecture, 6th canto, that in India, in village, the people work for 3 months and then they have 9 months saved for Krishna consciousness by growing their own food. So it's not that the scriptures are against storing the food, but the rules are different for different ashram, and it is more about grabbing or over collecting, or okay, because it leads to prayas. If we don't follow the Atyahar principle, then it leads to the second obstacle, which is prayas, which is overworking or over endeavoring. So that mentality is to work as a slave. It's a very prominent mentality in the western part of the world. I think in India also the same mentality is coming, right? Because there's so much of monetization of the economy. Like the more you work, the more you earn. And then there is this idea that the more I earn, the more I can afford. And the more I can afford, the more happy I will be. So there is this, because it's godless society, so there is this basically how I have an image of it. I always think of an image of this, and it's like we have brought our happiness and put it at the feet of the money and say, okay, money, if you are there, then my happiness will be there. If you're not there, then my happiness is not there, which is how we grow up. That's why living with the devotees is important. One must spend time with the devotees, because we can go on talking about it, we can go on reading about it, but we'll never know how this really happens, that without over endeavoring, one can be very Krishna conscious. So it's like, if you get chance in your life, live with the devotees who have surrendered fully to the cause. I did that, right? I lived in the, Bangalore, and I couldn't understand how this is happening. And then when you sell books, this was when many years ago, over a decade ago, easily over 12 years ago, and Boston Rath Yatra was selling the books, and I think within 4 hours or 5 hours, we made like over $800 by selling the books. So I'm like, wow, like we have to work so much to make this much money, and here we are just having so much fun and preaching Krishna consciousness, and then we made so much money for the temple. So in so less time, that's like, and that could be like a monthly salary of a person living in India. But here we are making this much money by selling Prabhupada books. So we cannot understand. I'm honestly telling you, there is a difference between theoretical knowledge and realization unless and until we live with the devotees. If you live with Navanisha Prabhu, you might catch some mysticism, how they work. 'Cause I couldn't understand that in the temple, how I could use ghee every day, buy ghee every single day, that kitchen, and cook everything in ghee for the deities. Do you do that in your own houses? Do you every day, every day, every day? You do that? And it will be like milk, like every day you buy ghee, like 2 liter ghee every day for deity cooking every day. And it's expensive. It was expensive back then too, in early 2000s. And I think it is more expensive now. And now it has like multiplied. If you go and see the temple, they have like special area in the kitchen, like Jagannath Puri, inspired by Jagannath Puri kitchen, to just make rice, different varieties of rice. Like, how many of our kitchens have just a specific area to cook like 3, 4 varieties of rice? And then they're like, the kitchen is like world class for the deities. There's separate kitchen for deities, separate kitchen for cooking for the devotees. How many of us have that? Separate deity kitchen, separate devotee kitchen. And I've seen like such a nice temple because the endeavor is rightly directed. Okay, that's what I'm trying to emphasize. So the mentality is this monetization of the economy makes us slave. It's actually modern slavery, right? And we are misusing our intelligence because Prabhupada explains the meaning of the word dharma. The dharma of a human being is to become Krishna conscious very, very, very clearly. If we are not doing that, then we are misusing our intelligence. So there's no confusion, there is no haziness. So where do you put prayas? We have this ability to put prayas in the service. And there are 2 criteria: not endangering the spiritual life, and then also consult others. How do I know whether I am on the right path? Okay, it's not that the work is prohibited. Krishna himself does not want Arjun to give up fighting. It's not that earning money is prohibited. It's that over endeavoring is something which we have to be careful of. Okay, don't become a slave of work. Don't become a slave of economic growth. And then because it gives example of this donkey who is carrying so much load for a morsel of grass. This guy doesn't have a grass, but is overworked, so much burnt out. There is a verse like this, right, in Srimad Bhagavatam. What is it? Apavargascha dharma hi apavargascha. Krishna, so Prabhupada explains pavarga, favarga, bhavarga. He explains how the sequence of dharmo hi apavargascha. Let's look up, okay? Look up this verse. And in that particular verse, Prabhupada explains like pa, fa, ba, bha, ma, like how it starts with like endeavoring. All these syllables are explaining the conditioned soul when they over endeavor. And then it creates tiredness in the body, which creates a dry mouth, which creates and fear, which creates death. So this is the sequence, pa varga and fa varga. Okay, and then this is another use of the tongue, prajalpa. There are so many things which are included in the Prajalpa, because we think Prajalpa, I think we spoke about it. Jiva Goswami Prabhupada talks about 3 levels of conversations. Lowest level of conversation is conversations about people, just mundane people. So I think a news, everything is filled with it, like people. This said this, they said this, they said this. The middle level of conversation is conversation about the events, and the highest level of conversation is the conversation about the wisdom. So it's a useless talk. What is useless? Because it's not feeding into our Krishna consciousness. Useless arguments, useless gossips, debates, fault finding in others, speaking false worldly talk, blaspheming the devotees. So time is precious. Prabhupada gives example of people in Western world where they are playing card or doing crossword puzzle. But is writing all this in nectar instruction puppet, playing card, doing crossword puzzles. And I read this years ago, and I used to be in the subway in New York, and I would see people doing crossword puzzles. I would think of this opposite. So Prajalpa playing card or doing this crossword puzzles or gossiping. So empty, it doesn't lead to anything. Actually, this is nectar of instruction, which is obviously the final verdict. But there are even in the philosophers in the secular world or psychologists in the secular world also realize the Prajalpa aspect. There is a very nice book. You don't need to buy the book. You don't need to do anything about it. Okay, I'm just gonna mention it. It's by a psychologist called Marshall Rosenberg, who brought a revolution in the world of nonviolent communication. So, and actually, he was able to moderate talks between countries and prevent fire, because this is nonviolent communication is like so impactful. And we know from Bhagavatam, sound is impactful. And then in one of the last chapters, he writes about he talks about the violent communication and how do we structure our speech and how do we connect with others in their speech and also meet our own needs and their needs and actually do it from the right place of heart. And towards the end of the book, he talks about, that when they go to some meetings or gatherings or parties, what are people really talking about? What are they really talking about? And he gives examples from his own life. They're really talking about, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just like very, very empty talk. This game that, what do people talk about in parties? What do you talk about? How are you? How is the child doing? How is the studies going? How are the health going? Do you know this happened that time? Do you know India went through this? Do you know America, this became president or prime minister? Do you know this? So he said it is very empty. It is not connecting anyone to anyone. And actually you come to parties to relax, but it makes you more and more tired. So he, being a psychologist, did a study. So he started asking people who went to all these gatherings that do you really enjoy such conversations? Really? Huh? So interestingly, the results was no. Neither the person who's talking nor the person who's hearing. Nobody enjoys such conversations. Nobody finds any sense, any leg or head in these conversations. Then he became more confident, and then he again went to the parties, and when he heard people doing all these conversations again, then he was more confident to stop them and say that, listen, what are we conversing about? This conversation is not leading us anywhere. Can we talk about something which is relevant to us in our lives in a real manner? Amazing, huh? So, but we kind of escape parties or gatherings or such social events because of this, right? And this is true across all intellectual groups. Don't think that if somebody is very intellectually accomplished, so their conversation at such places will also be very profound. Not necessarily. And I have seen it enough with enough so-called gods to say that this is real. Okay. So accept and then niyam agraha and niyam agraha, accepting the rules and regulations or neglecting the rules and regulations. So agraha means accepting, very eagerly you accept something. And agraha means neglected. So niyam means regulation. So remember Krishna. So main niyam is regulation. So we either accept rules and regulations and follow them very rigidly, but we really forget the niyam, the memento or the foundation of this, or we don't accept it at all. And the examples are prasadam, accepting too much or not accepting. So what do? We have to come to a balance. That accepting, and Prabhupada talks about Falgu Vairagya, right? Falgu Vairagya Kathyate. So, said accepting or rejecting has to be dependent on the principles of whether it could be used in our spiritual life. Basically, put spiritual life, this is my verdict, like in the center, put Krishna in the center, and then revolve all our circles around it. Like Nectar of Devotion explains, Super Goswami says, center is Krishna. We can build a family around it. We can build a job around it. We can build association around it. We can build our creativity around it. We can build our nation around it. We can build our empathy for others around it. But Krishna remains in the center. But Rupa Goswami Prabhupada explains, but what happens in the material life is that there are overlapping circles with different centers. Like one center is, okay, for me, other center, other person, family member, they have their own center for their own sense gratification, their circle. Then somebody in the society have their own center, another circle. So the centers are separate. So we kind of develop a friction. But actually, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. How is it possible? Okay, accepting or rejecting. Janasangha and Prajalpa are kind of the same, right? Janasangha is materialistic association, which only means that in that association I go and there is no Krishna conscious potency there. So the association is very important. Association is a root cause of one's progress or digression. So we can either go ahead or we can either stay in the materially bonded stage. So power of association is compared to what is it? Chintamani stone, crystal stone. Because association can impact that potency inside of us to convert with whoever we're associating with. And this is true for all ages. It's not that it's true only for a teenager or it's only true for a school-going child or a college student. It is true for all ages. In association, the other day, I'll give example from what I heard recently. We had a talk on something called like hyperemesis kind of person. It's like a child smokes so much marijuana that they're vomiting so much that they actually have to be hospitalized for days and days and days. It's difficult management. So then the person who was giving a talk, the addiction medicine physician, he said he's a physician, that he got into the wrong association because of the fear of abandonment and loneliness, and he started abusing drugs. Being a physician, he had easy access, like oxycodone and all these narcotics. And then how, if I and you take narcotics for pain, even a smallest dose, it'll knock us out. It's just knock us out. It's such a potency in that drug. But he said he would take like 20 times the recommended dose and he would still be like fine. So because of the association, and of course he was discussing his journey, how he got out of it. But it wastes so much time, no? So much time is wasted in something which was not important at all. So association is so important, that where we are taking ourselves. And what are the principles of association? We will study later in this Nectar of Instruction. It doesn't mean that we don't talk and we just like close our eyes and walk by if somebody is a materialist and not a Krishna conscious person. We don't associate with them. We don't give 6 exchanges with them of association. Okay, that's what association is. We talk to them, but we give them. We don't take from them. With that mentality, with that preparation, we go. Okay, so problems are, it creates doubts about the practice of Krishna consciousness. We commit offenses. We act contrary to our values. We have an example of a Jamil, right? Association with a prostitute. We get develop greed for bhukti mukti siddhi. And Prabhupada said he established ISKCON to give people an opportunity to associate with those who have not forgotten Krishna. So it is an association for all of us. Okay. So greed or lalyam, I'll share the slides. You can, look at it, lick it, share it, whatever you want to do with it, you can do. So lalyam is greed for bhukti mukti siddhi kami. Bhukti kami is one who wants to have more and more material assets. Mukti kami is one who wants liberation, and siddhi kami is one who wants some sort of a siddhi or mysticism. So real greed is for Krishna bhakti. So Krishna bhakta nishkam ateva shanta. Right? Is nishkam doesn't mean that there is no desire, but there is no desire at the material level. All the desires are doubted for Krishna consciousness. It's a difficult place to be in if you are not constantly in touch with the fire of Krishna consciousness. But that is a peace formula. That is a peace formula. So Janasanga leads to Prajalpa, and that actually feeds our greed. And to fulfill the greed, we need to over endeavor. And then over endeavoring leads to compromise in rules and regulations. And then we over collect. I ask this question often that if we have to move our house today, how many of us think that or all things are lying in the house are like everything is so important? And how many of us like, okay, so many things we really don't need. I don't need so much to live. It's important to keep account. Okay. So Krishna, this in Lalyam, this verse was also spoken by Rupa Goswami. Chaitanya Chaitamrita, this verse come about Lalyam or greed for Krishna consciousness. I think you know this verse now. Madhya Lila 8 chapter verse 70. Krishna bhakti ras bhavita mati kriyatam yadi kuto api dabhyate tatra lalyam api mulyam ekalam janma koti sukrite na labhyate. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by past activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is tatra lalyam api mulyam ekalam. Your intense greed to obtain it. Janma koti sukrite na labhyate. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without a delay. Okay, so Rupa Goswami Prabhupada is saying that tatra lalyam api mulyam ekalam. Your greed to become Krishna conscious is the only price that one has to pay. So next time when we are thinking that, oh, I'm stuck, I'm sluggish in my practice of Krishna consciousness, I'm getting lazy, then go back and see how greedy you are, or I am. Go ahead in this. Okay, I think, okay, now tell me, we address these. I brought these, these slides I made. These are the questions from your handbook, which are there. I added more questions, but the questions. List the three primary energies of Lord. I think you know this. Define what is Mahatma, what is Duratma. And the list three full miseries in Sanskrit and English. Briefly describe the two meanings of Niyamagraha and Niyamagraha. List three kinds of Atyaharis, Bhukti Mukti Kami. Okay, any questions? So we address the six things. What are the six things we addressed? That Atyahar, which is basically, Prabhupada says overeating or over endeavoring. And I explain what Bhaktivinoda Thakur Prabhupada says. Prayasas over endeavoring, prayasas is overworking, over endeavoring. Prajalpo is unnecessary talk. Niyam agraha and niyam agraha is either accepting the rules and regulations or rejecting them altogether without the understanding of Krishna consciousness. Jana sangas is materialistic association, and lalyam or greed. Shadbir bhakti vinashyati, it destroys the bhakti. Questions? I'll go offline and then I'll go to the other book for summary. No questions, reflections, realizations, or corrections.
Hare Krishna Mataji, reflection is that we actually come to know how much we own when we are moving. If we are moving out of the house into another place, that's when we actually can see how much we have collected, and we have to pack all those things and take them and go.
Yeah,
It's like
I
so
agree.
much effort.
Yeah, the thought itself makes me feel like, oh my God, like I would not want to do anything like that. Right? Okay. So you have no questions, no reflections.